welcome to Fish Flair Freshwater. Today we're going to be exploring a new pond in Oregon called St. Louis Pond. I feel like most people know this pond. They've been there before, but may not really know the specifics as well, so that's what I'll be going over today. Just which ponds have which fish and where is the best places to catch these fish. Start off, we have these ponds. Pond 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Start off, pond 1. Honestly, pond 1 isn't the best place to fish. There's an access point right here, but there's mostly just small bluegill and stuff, which I wouldn't recommend. However, on really cloudy and rainy days, I find this section of shore to be quite good for producing some bigger bluegill, especially towards this small area right here. And also, this spot is like mediocre. I wouldn't recommend this necessarily, but there are bluegill here anyways. Next, going to pond 2. There's lots of stuff at this dock here. It's not the best place if you want to go bluegill fishing, but there's definitely bullhead, catfish, and bass here, which are definitely bigger fish if you want to target them. There's some shoreline here where there's some big fish that tend to hang out, but it's harder to catch them. You might have to go with more specific rigging methods, using like small jigs or flies to target specifically the big ones, rather than just putting on a worm and targeting everything, because then the big ones won't bite and the smaller ones are going to get it. And most of this place I've explored, and it's very hard to fish in these areas that are piled up with logs, and the water quality just doesn't look that good either. This place has some bluegills, but not that big. So honestly, this part's just not that good either. This part's super accessible. However, the fishing's just also mediocre. I've caught some fish here on really slow days, and I think this might be a good bet for you on a slower day if you want to change places. And same as this spot. What I've noticed is that during spawning season, all along this line right here, there's a ton of bigger bluegill here, and they stack up here a lot when they're laying their eggs. I recommend you to catch these spawning bluegill and keep them, just because they're so stacked in these waters that we really need some way to prevent them from stunting. And if you keep these fish, there's going to be less of them, which means more space for them to grow bigger. So yeah, that would help everyone a lot. Now for pond 4. In this hole, I've caught a few bigger ones, but I feel like in the past few years, it's kind of slowed down a bit. Over here, there's not much, honestly. There's just tons of weeds, and the fish there seem to be shy, and there's not that many, so I would recommend all of this part. On to pond 5. I know for sure there are bullhead and other bass here, but it's much harder to fish at this dock than at pond 2 over here, just because it's closer to the parking lot in the summer, and this means more pressure. So there are good fish here, including some better bluegill and some fish, but just be warned, it could get crowded and could get lots of pressure. Number pond 6. This is your only bet when it comes winter time for the trout fishing. You basically walk in through here, and then you go through this path and into the pond. What I've noticed is that from the past few years, the fish seem to be everywhere, but like the last time I went, there's been some decent structure here, which the fish could pile up on, and they tend to be here quite a bit. And I haven't really explored this part here, but from what I heard, pond 6 is decent for bass and bluegill. And pond 7, I hear it might be one of the better places for bass, but I've never really gone here that much, and the bluegill fishing here is really slow, so yeah. I would recommend it if you're going for bass, but not for bluegill. So yeah, that's all I have for St. Louis Ponds for the location. Next, I'll be going over the types of baits you use. For bass, basically you can rig any type of spinnerbait or just topwater frog for these places. Especially in Pond 7, you're going to need lots of flashing to get the attention of the fish. And this would just help get the fish attracted over. Also, in these places, if you had a weedless Senko type thing, it would also work too. And for catfish, you could either just plop down a worm, which is the easiest method, which could catch bullhead. And if you want to catch the bigger catfish that are out there, you could try and just use cut bait for it and see if some bigger fish would bite. And also, I've noticed that bass will bite on cut bait too here. Just in general, for bluegill and other sunfish, what you want to do is get a small bobber, a small or no weight at all. Surprisingly, you can cast a far distance here because the waters are so thin everywhere, and they built it this way. So you really don't need much weight to cast out. And then all you need to do is get, at max, a size 12 hook, preferably a size 14 or 16 if you can't get those single hooks. All you gotta do is put a tiny piece of worm there on a short but not too short leader, and they'll just bite. And all you gotta do is wait for the bobber to stay down for a bit and then set your hook. Don't set your hook at every movement. Alright, so don't set your hook too late because then you're gonna get it deeply hooked, and don't set your hook too early because then the fish is gonna get away. Now these fish, really, you don't need much in the way of getting them. I feel like the bigger bluegill could get spooked easily, but if you're only starting out and targeting the smaller bluegill, it doesn't really matter how you approach it. Just cast it out and just wait for it to bite. And the rule for here is if you're waiting for more than 15 seconds, reel it in a bit more and wait, because the fish there are so stacked that they're going to bite pretty much no matter what. So that's just something to keep in mind. And for me, the best times to fish here are right between like 3 p.m. in the afternoon all the way to sunset when the park closes. So, and during sunset, that's the best time for catfish too. So, yeah, if you have free time in the afternoon, this would be a really good place to go to.
So that's it?
And yeah, that's it.
Okay, viewers out there, if you want to see me, as the weather warms up, when we are gonna do some warm water fishing, if you guys want to see me and Albert do a fish off at St. Louis Ponds, please leave it in the comments below. If you want us to explore the ponds and then try to catch a fish out of every single pond, or do a multi-species day there, please hit a like down below, and I'll see you guys there.